internet shutdown capital of the world makes the country democratic, then yes, India is a democracy. If the secrecy of the electoral ballot being compromised the true essence of a democracy, then sure, India is a democracy. If rising communal violence, absence of strong opposition and zero accountability on the part of the government makes the country democratic, then India is most certainly the largest democracy in the world. Pleasant greetings of the day. The topic before us is the veil of democracy, and I'm here to uncover the garb of democracy that India so proudly adorns. We watched the dance of democracy during India's general elections. But even before people start queuing up at polling booths, there's a battle to be won. From splurging on advertisements, billboards, celebrity endorsements, all in Bollywood style, to even election-themed sarees, shirts and mufflers. How much of a ruling party's victory can be attributed to their genuine popularity, and how much to their sprawling publicity is yet another question. It all boils down to money, but ladies and gentlemen, where exactly does this money even come from? Let me tell you. Electoral bonds introduced in 2017 is a system which allows for there to be anonymous donations for the purpose of electoral fundings. Now, the concept of donor anonymity in itself vandalizes the very tenets of a democracy and clearly takes away from us our fundamental right to information as enshrined under Article 19 of the Indian Constitution. Who is making these donations and what exactly are they getting in return are questions that remain unanswered in our so-called democratic setup. So much for having a political structure that vouches for being the harbingers of transparency, right? India takes pride in conducting free and fair elections, but are elections truly free and fair if the Election Commission doesn't have teeth sharp enough to bite through the malpractices of the political parties? The promise to implement love jihad in their manifestos, nomination of the first ever Dalit state president just to woo the community, and implementation of Muslim-only schemes in Telangana, all just to win elections. Electoral process in India has been reduced to a race to manufacture the consent of people by playing with their religious, caste or even gender-based vulnerabilities. It has become politically expedient to treat us not as citizens, but as voters or vote banks who are made promises that do not go beyond the manifestos of these politicians. And of course, to no surprise, ladies and gentlemen, we the voters are forgotten between electoral cycles. Elections seem to be nothing more than a historical clash of ego, where all we are puppets, twirling to the tunes of a government that is meant to be of the people, for the people, and by the people. Relying on instruments of identity politics, corruption, and creation of a political hegemony, rather than a structure of checks and balances and the inclusion of citizens in the decision-making process, that, my friends, is descending the Indian democracy into a mere electoral autocracy, or worse, class majoritarianism. Moving on, I could tell you about activists like Safura Zargar, a pregnant woman who languished in jail for expressing dissent against the fatal CAA NRC. Or I could talk about reporters like Siddiq Kapan, who were arrested under the draconian UAPA Act, and for what? For reporting the rape of a 19-year-old Dalit girl commonly known as the Hathras rape case. I could also talk about political leaders who believe that women wearing ripped jeans somehow pave way for societal breakdown and that men will be men. Or I could tell you about the blatant injustice when habeas corpus petitions are not heard for months after conflict in Kashmir. But we all already know this, don't we? Let me tell you what the largest democracy in the world currently looks like. The government is cracking down on dissent, declaring it as seditious left, right and centre. The citizens have no agency of choice when an educational institution has the audacity to ban hijab in secular India and the High Court vehemently supports it. There is no law and order in the country now that internet shutdowns have become as common as eating 3 meals a day. And most importantly, the basic principles of equality, transparency and privacy and respect hold absolutely no value. The list, ladies and gentlemen, is endless. You tell me, are these not the enemies of a thriving democracy? We cannot keep calling India the largest democracy on earth when in reality we are not just ringing but celebrating and dancing to authoritarian alarm bells. Is the Indian democracy being dismantled? Most certainly. And it is time we brush off the dust of illusions and witness the degradation of the Indian democracy and finally pull a plug on this unnecessary facade. Thank you and have a great day ahead.